Today's reactive oxygen species. What is this? Reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species are those compounds which are present in the body, because about 2 billion years ago all the atmosphere was anaerobic, and about 2 billion years earlier, because of the advent of a bacteria called as cyanobacteria, emerged through evolution, and this acted upon water and split it into oxygen and hydrogen. So it was this production of oxygen that changed the atmosphere to aerobic. First 2 billion years ago everything was anaerobic. There was no oxygen. Then, with the presence of cyanobacteria, about 2 billion years earlier, it acted on water and split it, and you get the formation of oxygen. And this oxygen has got the ability that it burns. So most of the other organisms, they disappeared, but those which could adapt survived. So one of them is the human species. Now, what are reactive oxygen species? Reactive oxygen species are compounds which have a free, unpaired electron in outer shell. If this is the nucleus, and if there are 2 electrons, this is paired. This is not dangerous. But if one electron goes away, one electron is taken away, then you get the formation of the compound be it oxygen with one unpaired electron in the outer shell. This unpaired electron, this is unpaired electron. This is called as the free radical. And this is the one that is dangerous, because it can attack any other compound, mostly PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, and would remove one electron from them and convert them into free radicals, and so they would act on another PUFA, and so the chain reaction goes on, because if there is one unpaired electron, it will try to complete its orbit and take electron from some other source. And so that is why I told in the previous reaction that what do the antioxidants do? They would supply it with hydrogen ion, and one electron from the hydrogen would quench it, and so the reaction would stop. I repeat again, whatever the compound, usually it is oxygen, in the outermost shell there must be 2 electrons. That would be normal, so that's alright. But if one of the electron is taken away from the outermost shell, this is the lone, lone, that is single unpaired electron, this forms a free radical that is dangerous, and this one usually affects and attacks PUFAs of the phospholipids of the cell membranes. And where is the PUFA on the cell membrane? It is at carbon number 2. And so it damages the phospholipids, it damages the cell membrane. So when it takes that electron out from the polyunsaturated fatty acid, this polyunsaturated fatty acid becomes itself as a attacking radical. It would attack another molecule, another chain of fatty acid, and again convert it into a radical, and so this chain reaction goes on till in the end it is provided by one electron from the hydrogen from, for example, tocopherol, vitamin E, toco. So this H provides, it's attached over there to the PUFA and provides the electron to quench its thirst, and then the reaction stops. Now, the reactive oxygen species. This was brief, I would explain it in detail now. Reactive oxygen species, what are they? This is singlet oxygen. This is a superoxide. hydrogen peroxide. Then you've got OH, hydroxyl group. Then you've got hypochlorous acid. And last is your reactive nitrogen oxidizing species, or NOS. So these are all oxidizing species. One is singlet oxygen, the other one is superoxide, the other one is H2O2, the one is hydroxyl group, then you've got hypochlorous acid, then you've got RNOS, RNOS, reactive nitrogen species. They are all derived from oxygen. So these are called reactive oxygen species. So what is the speciality? That in their outer shell there is a single unpaired electron. So it's a single unpaired electron. Now these are reactive oxygen species. Of these, this one, singlet oxygen, superoxide, and this hydroxyl radical, they are the most notorious. This hypochlorous acid is called as bleach. This is called as bleach. And this RNOS is reactive nitrogen species. Reactive nitrogen species. What they do is, I have told you previously, that this single electron over here would try to attack some compound and try to grab its electron to complete its orbit. Well, this orbit is complete, but then you have got a single unpaired electron on the other compound. So you make that one an avid, hungry, attacking radical. And so this radical goes on, this attack goes on, and this is called the propagation. And I told you the termination, it is only terminated that one electron is provided. So it takes up hydrogen. And this hydrogen goes in and it tries to quench this lust for another electron by providing it a stable ion. So you've got antioxidants. To counter these oxidants, nature has provided antioxidants. Now we'll start talking about antioxidants and how do they act. So reactive oxygen species, all these singlet oxygen, superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, hydroxyl radical, hypochlorous acid, and RNOS, they are all reactive oxygen species. Now, superoxide is produced in leukocytes and macrophages during phagocytic activity. Phagocytic activity. during phagocytosis, phagocytic activity. The microorganisms are destroyed by them. Similarly, HOCl, this hypochlorous acid, which is called bleach, has got an important phagocytic activity. So, this formation of O2 takes place when there is a phenomenon called as respiratory burst. Respiratory burst, and superoxide is formed, and superoxide will kill the bacteria. Again, because in leukocytes and macrophages you have got another enzyme called as myeloperoxidase. This helps. Myeloperoxidase acts over here, again on O2, and converts it into, this is myeloperoxidase. This enzyme acts on this, adding chlorine plus chlorine to form hypochlorous acid, which is a bleaching agent. And this also has got a phagocytic activity. So during normal metabolism in the body, reactive oxygen species are formed, but they must be dealt in quickly. Over here, reactive oxygen species have got a very positive effect. They kill the microorganism, phagocytic. But then they also have a negative side when they start attacking the body's own cell membranes, body's own structures. So they have to be kept in balance. So a little more detail. How are they formed? First, how are they formed? And secondly, I will tell you how are they dealt with accordingly. So, it is a single unpaired electron that is dangerous. Usually in cytochrome oxidase, you have got oxygen. It gives rise to superoxide. Superoxide gives rise to H2O2. This one gives rise to hydroxyl radical. This one ends up in the production of water. So what happens in mitochondria? Reactive species is produced in metabolism. And in cytochrome oxidase system. This is oxygen, it is converted into superoxide, this is converted into H2O2, this one is converted into hydroxyl radical, and this one is again converted to water. This is superoxide, this is hydroxyl radical. So it moves like this. Oxidation, cytochrome oxidation system in mitochondria. So what happens is, it's taking place in mitochondria. At each of these steps, one electron is being added. So there are addition of 4 electrons. And what happens in the end is that you've got 4 electrons, right? plus, as you've done in oxidative phosphorylation, this is oxidative phosphorylation. What happens? There is formation of ATP and production of energy and formation of water. So in the end over here, from complex 4, that is complex 4, what happens in complex 4 of the cytochrome oxidase system? You've got 4 electrons plus 4 protons that come in plus 2 molecules of oxygen. So this is 4 electrons, cytochrome oxidase system. 4 protons which have been thrown into the intramembranous space, and a molecule of oxygen. All these combine together to give you what? 2 molecules of water. 2 molecules of water. In the end, plus, well, there is formation of ATP plus liberation of energy in the form of heat. So this is what is oxidative phosphorylation. So you see, it starts with oxygen, is converted into superoxide, H2O2, these are all formed over there in metabolism and also in the mitochondria. So all over the body these things are taking place. So at the end, in complex 4, the end result is you've got 4 electrons that are added, 4 protons that come down from according to the hydrogen gradient, forming ATP, and 2 molecule of oxygen to give rise to water. Now, each of these, especially superoxide and hydroxyl ion, they are very offensive, they are very dangerous for the body. But the thing is that they are kept bound within this chain, and then they are dealt accordingly. For example, how is superoxide formed? It is formed by NADPH oxidase. In leukocytes, and in macrophages, and also in the steps of oxidative phosphorylation. In leukocytes and macrophages, it helps in phagocytosis, and it is the component of your respiratory burst. And over here I would tell you, if NADPH comes from, where does NADPH come from? NADPH comes from HMP shunt. And in HMP shunt, the important enzyme is G6PD, P dehydrogenase. This is the enzyme, G6PD, and this helps in the formation